Let's take a look at the communications module or the comms module in JobPro. This module ties together all types of communications. So whether it's an email, letter, fax, a note, SMS messages, or internal messages between JobPro users, everything comes together in the communications module. And throughout the system, like if we're looking at a company record, we've got a communications and notes portal that we'll see everywhere, where from here we can create a communication type. We can see all the previous communications relating, in this case, to a company, and we can also filter out by communication types as well. So let's have a look at the communication types. If we want to create a new email, letter, fax, note, or message relating to this company, we can do so from here. So let's just create a note, for example. And then we can return back to the company, either clicking on the company module, or we can have a link that brings us straight back to the company as well. Also, JobPro gives you the ability to create phone calls or invoke phone calls from the system. So you can use Skype or other VoIP type software to make phone calls. And on creating a phone call, you can specify and set up that it first of all creates a log of the phone call, and also that it opens the log on screen so you can actually type some of the information relating to the phone call in that log, just like a note. So if we take a quick look at different modules in the system, like contacts, we've got a communications portal down the bottom relating to that person. In jobs, on the general tab, we've got a communications portal here. So everything relating to that job will appear in this portal. And the same in most of the other modules. Here we have the communications portal in purchase orders. So let's go back into companies. And let's create, for example, an email. Now, emails can also be created automatically directly from an individual or a contact record, in this case via the company screen. So instead of creating an email from up here, which is default to use the first contact for this company, we could create the email from here. So here we are on the email screen in the comms module, where we can then specify the body of the email from here, add an attachment, put in some notes, or enter any other relevant information like the sign-off details for the email, whether you want to include a signature or not. There are a few options when it comes to creating and sending emails in JobPro. So let's just take a quick look at that in setup. So we go into the communications tab in setup, and in here the first option is creating emails throughout the system. We can specify to create in the communications module or the default email application. Now the difference there is that when you specify communications module, it'll do what we just did there a minute ago. We created the email from a contact, and it creates the record within JobPro from where you edit the record and then send it from there. So that means that the actual email itself then is logged in the system. But if we just specified to use your default email application, what that would do is when you click on an email icon, it, instead of creating a record in the comms module, it just creates a draft email in your default email program like Mail or Outlook on your computer. Then the next options down here, we have the ability to send email settings using your SMTP server or your ISP. So if these are turned off, and this option here is turned on for communications module, when you send the email directly from the communications module, What it does is it creates an email in your outbox in your default email program. So the other option, if we just go back into setup, is where we want to specify to use an SMTP server instead of your email app. So if we turn this option on, let's turn this one off first and we'll explain this one in a second. What you need to do then is you need to specify your outgoing SMTP server address, port number, whether you've got encryption connection types set up, like SSL, secure socket layer, or also if you do turn on authentication, you can put in your username and password here. So what happens then is when you send the email from JobPro, it goes straight out through your SMTP server or your ISP instead of it being generated in your main email program on your computer. So the next option here is, if we're turning on to use the SMTP settings, we can also specify to use an SMTP plugin that's built into JobPro. Now the reason why we offer this as an additional option is that at the moment, FileMaker, which JobPro is a FileMaker based database, it just has the ability to attach one document to an email. So if you need to regularly attach more than one document to an email, well then you can turn this setting on here, and in the comms module, if we go back and return, in the attachment section, we can then attach as many emails to this document as we like. Also on the email, we can click on Use Templates. So this is a feature that in setup, you can input templates for areas like emails, letters, faxes, SMS messages, and so on. So when you're then creating a communication like an email, you can use a template, and that will allow you to select from a list, if you've set up various templates in here, the text for that template. So when you select an option, it'll put the details in the body of the email, and you can then modify that as well if you like in here. If you need to attach a document to an email, click on the plus button, and this gives you the ability to either attach an existing document that's already in the documents module. Maybe it's an attachment from another email, or it could be just a document that's stored linked to a job or linked to a company or a contact, anything in the system. Now then the other option is where you link it to a new document, like something that's on your desktop or stored elsewhere. So when you add a new document to an attachment for an email, it stores that document then on the server. So it's also stored within the documents module as a new record, and you can reuse that document elsewhere as well if you need to. So that covers sending emails in JobPro. From any type of record in the comms module, you've got navigation options to go back to where you came from. Well, either using the top menu, or else you can click on a link relating to where we came from. Like this will bring us to the contact, or if we want to go back to the company record itself, we can click on company. Also from the company or customer screen, we can create a letter or fax from here as well. So let's create a letter for this contact. You can also actually, just before we leave here, you can see the new email that we just created relating to this contact as well. So let's create a letter. And this is very similar to an email. You're brought into the comms module. You can type in the body of the letter. You can use a template. You enter in your sign-off details. And if you want to include a signature, it's a scanned signature that you can use from the system. So you can input your own scanned signatures in setup as well. So let's go back into the company record. And creating a fax is also very similar to creating a letter or an email. You can enter in the body of the fax, use templates, and all the other information is very similar to a letter. So other options in relation to communications would be just in general creating notes, but also from most places in the system where you've got a communications portal, you can create an internal message to another user. So usually if you create an internal message from a particular record in a module, it's relating to that record. It could be a job, it could be a customer screen or a contact screen. But also, alternatively, you can go into the comms module and you can click on new, and from within here you can create any type of communication, like a message to another user. So I've logged in as Joe Blogs here, and I'm actually going to select Joe Blogs and send myself a message just so we'll see it pop up on screen. So here comes the alert. This is using the alerts functionality in JobPro. More information on this and the options that you have is covered in a separate video tutorial. So it's telling us we have a new alert, which in this case it's a message. You can also get alerts relating to tasks as well that you need to be reminded about. So if you want to view that message, you can click on the message in the alerts window and we're brought straight in there. And then we can reply to the person that sent you a message as well from here. And any related messages will display. So if we go back into companies, another option that you have is that creating a phone call, you can click on the icon beside a mobile number, a cell phone number, or any phone number in the system. But you also have the ability, especially for a mobile number, if we put in a sample mobile, that if we hold down the shift key when you click on the phone icon, it creates an SMS message. So let's try that. So here we are on the SMS screen, and we can type in our message, or we can also use a template, do a spell check, and then click on send. And the sending of SMS messages can be done either using Skype on your own computer, where you'd add credit to Skype, or we also can set up a Clickatel account. So on clickatel.com, it's a well-known SMS service online where you'd also set up credit on your account, and in setup you'd specify your account details for Clickatel. So let's just cancel out of that and have a quick look at that in setup. So under communications, we click on phone and SMS, and in here we've got different options for when we're making calls. What option would we use? Or when we're sending SMS messages, would we like to use Clickatel or Skype? If you're using Clickatel, you can then set up the Clickatel account username and password in here that you'll get from your Clickatel account. There are separate video tutorials on creating phone calls and SMS messages from JobPro. But just a quick recap on the options here is that you can make phone calls using a well-known open source asterisk software that you can install on Mac or Windows, and basically that acts like a proper phone system where you can set up proper IP phones on your desk with all the type of functionality you'd expect from a good phone system. And for each employee you'd specify their extension number, so that, let's go back into contacts or into a company record. When you create a phone call, it will start ringing out then on your handset on the desk. While if you're using the Skype option and you click to invoke a phone call, it'll start ringing on your computer. Another feature related to the comms module that JobPro has is the ability to create mail shots or mailings, like an email blast to, say, a found set of customers that you pull up, or a letter mail shot or fax mail shot as well. And you can also send group SMS messages. So let's take a quick look at that. It is also covered in another video tutorial under mail shots. But in the company module and the contacts module, and the inquiries module. So let's go into the sales group here where we can see the sales inquiries module. Each of these modules on the options tab has got the ability to create a mail shot using the mail shot wizard, or also create a group SMS message. So if we just take a very quick look at that, what you would do is you'd pull up a found set of, say, contacts in this case that you want to send a mail shot to. So it might be all customers that are active, or maybe customers in a specific location. So you'd get your found set ready, and you click on options, and you click on create a mail shot. So in here then we'd enter in the body of, in this case we might be doing an email mail shot, or you could do a letter or a fax mail shot. So you'd be inputting then the body of the email here. You can use templates, do spell checks, add attachments, and then put in your sign-off details over here. So when we create the mail shot, it's going to create a separate number of records, in this case 5 individual mail shot records from the contacts module. And they'll all then show a log on each of those 5 contacts screen that they received a mail shot on a specific date. And you have the ability obviously to click on one to view the details of the mail shot. So also you have the ability from a group of contacts and a group of inquiries and other areas in the system to send a group SMS message. Now both of these options are using the communications module as well. Click on OK. So we're getting a warning here to say that there isn't mobile numbers set up properly for records in the found set. We can continue anyway just to give you the example here. So you type in your message, and you can also use template, and then you click send. And that would either send it out using Skype or using Click-a-Tell. So let's just finally recap and go back into the communications module. In here, as you're browsing through records, you could be looking at, in this case, a fax, a letter, an email. Here's a note, a message. So depending on the actual record you're on and the record type, you're looking at a different set or a different screen. And you can look at a list of different communication types. And also on the options tab, there's various options in here, like find emails, letters, faxes, and so on. Find various items that were created today. We can preview and print if it's a letter, for example, or be send email if we're on an email record. You can print onto envelopes, print onto labels, and you can have the same options for a found set of records or communications that you have in the found set. Also worth having a look at is back on the home screen in what's called the quick view area, the center of the home screen. You have the ability to view different parts of the system in a quick view. So we can click on the comms quick view here, and we can filter out by identity, which is like a multi-company feature. We can specify the date, the type, and the rep as well. So we can filter out all these to view any communications for a given day. And here we can see some of the communications we've created in this video tutorial. So that fairly much covers the comms or communications functionality in JobPro. Again, communications is not just about using this specific module, but most modules have a tie into the communications module using the communications portal, where you normally create a communication from another part of the system.